Hello, Grace. Welcome back to our reading plan. Today is August 25th, and we are looking at Ezekiel 26, starting in verse 15. And we're going through to Ezekiel 28, verse 26, and then we're jumping to 2 Kings 25, Jeremiah 52, and then back to Jeremiah 39. Now, this first section of our reading continues Ezekiel's judgment against the nation, prophecies against the nation. Now, this mirrors what Jeremiah and Isaiah have done as well, where they prophesied against Jerusalem, against Judah, but they also brought up God's judgments against the nations as well. And Ezekiel does the same thing, and they're prophecies against the same nations. All of these prophets are prophesying that God is going to bring judgment against the same nations that are surrounding Judah and Jerusalem, but also the bigger kind of nation states in that area, as well as Babylon. And so today we're looking at specifically this really big prophecy against Tyre. And Ezekiel is told by God to write a funeral song for Tyre. And he writes it, he explains how amazing Tyre was, how wonderful they had it with their blue sails, all the wood from different areas, their people that were helping them from different areas, and how amazing they were. The fact that their trade was incredible and brought wealth not only to them but to the nations around them. But he says this in verse 5 of Ezekiel 28. He says, "Yes, your wisdom made you very rich, and your riches made you very proud." So, consistent with Isaiah and Jeremiah, these prophecies against the nations show that God is sovereign over all, and all the nations are subject to his rule and reign. And every nation is called to humble themselves before God. But they're also exposed, God is exposing their pride in themselves, exposing the pride that they call themselves God. Right, that's what Tyre and Egypt specifically thought of themselves. Their kings were gods, and so God says, "You thought you were God, but will those nations who defeat you think that same thing? No, they will think you are merely a man." And then he goes on to say more about them. Like, I actually set you up. God's saying, "I set you up. You were in Eden. You were in God's garden. You were adorned with every precious stone. I ordained you to be the guardian of this area." Now, you might see that as being kind of strange, how invested God is in these other nations. But it doesn't just show that God is invested in them, but it shows that he cares for all people. He wants them to flourish in his world. He has a genuine desire for all people to do well. Now, he also wants them to know him and to be in relationship with him as he has chosen Israel. But we see in this prophecy that he wants all people to be in relationship with him. He wants them to humble themselves. And he says, "I banished you in disgrace from the mountain of God. I expelled you, O mighty guardian, from your place among the stones of fire. Your heart was filled with pride because of all your beauty. Your wisdom was corrupted by your love of splendor. So I threw you to the ground and exposed you to the curious gaze of kings." Now, you might recognize that. It's very similar language that he used when he's talking about Israel. They became puffed up. They went to other nations. They thought that they could do just fine. And this is what happens to everyone. When we experience some success, we lift ourselves up. And the same is true with Tyre, the same is true with Sidon. And now we are going to 2 Kings, Jeremiah, and 52 and 39. So during this time, Ezekiel is prophesying against the nations. At the same time, Babylon is besieging Judah and Jerusalem. And all the food is gone because they're not allowing people to get in to bring food. So everyone is starving. People are starving to death. And then finally, after months of being in severe famine, Babylonians break the walls down, and they are in there and they're saying, well, we're doing amazing. Well, Zedekiah experiences the judgment of God. He tries to get away, but Babylon, the Babylonian army, brings him back, and he has to watch his kids be killed, and his eyes get gouged out, and he gets led back to Jerusalem. But what this shows is that God brings justice everywhere. He doesn't have favorites. He doesn't say, hey, Judah, Jerusalem, because I chose you, you're not going to experience the consequences of your sin. No, Sidon, Tyre, all of these nations are going to experience the consequences. Babylon's going to experience the consequence of sin because of their disobedience and their lack of humility and their lack of love and their puffed up nature, their pride in life. And so what we see here, and what I want us to take away from the reading today, is that God will bring justice to all those who have done horrible things, brought persecution and oppression and sin to their families, to their nation, to their country, and God will make it right. So if you've experienced some hardships and you're like, God, I don't know what's going to happen, He will make it right. And if we've done things that we have not repented of, God is going to bring justice upon us. And so today, humble yourself before the Lord. Not like Sidon, not like Tyre, not like Babylon, not like Jerusalem at this time. We need to look at them and say, I don't want to end up in a place that is not in communion with God. I want to be in communion with God. So let's humble ourselves today and enjoy His presence. I hope you enjoy the reading today. God bless you.